Hi guys, I'm Charlotte and welcome to the Purple Sector. You normally see Hannah doing these videos because I normally run all social media accounts, but I thought I would show my face and get involved so you know exactly who I am. So today I thought I would do a championship prediction video because we're so close to the start of the season now. Today is Thursday, so that means we're 8 days away from FP1 and 10 days away from Lights Out. So I'm very excited and I thought I'd give my thoughts and opinions on who will be crowned champion and who will be best of the rest and who will unfortunately be last. So yeah, let's get started. Firstly, I've put Nicholas Latifi in at number 20. So I think that Nicholas Latifi will become 20th in the championship because he's new to F1. He hasn't had that F1 experience of racing yet. Although he was Williams' test driver, I just don't think he's got the experience for this first season and to get anywhere in this first season. And also he's in a Williams, and I don't think Williams this year or next year will be able to help him get that experience and be battling upfield. I just don't think their car has it in them, and I don't think Nicholas has that experience yet or is ready. And with only having literally 0 races in F1 this year, he hasn't had any experience at all. So I think he will be 20th because of his car, his experience, and also I feel like he's only at Williams because of his money. Like, he's a pay seat because I know that his family have deals with Williams that last to 2021. So I do feel like he is in that seat because of his money. So it will be worth seeing his skills on track if we can see them, because he's probably going to be at the back of the grid. But yeah, I think he'll only be 20th, and then that leaves me on to 19th, which is also, I've put a Williams, which I've put George Russell. I really like George Russell, and I really want him to do well this season, but I just do not think his car will carry him up the field. I think if he was in a McLaren or even a Renault, you would be able to see his skills, how good of a driver he is. But just because he's in a Williams, it's got no pace, it's always at the back of the grid, I just do not think that he will get away from being 19th in the table. I hope I'm proven wrong, and I hope he does get some points, unlike last year when he was on 0. But at this point, I just don't think Williams have a good car for him to progress up the field. Like I said, if he was to move to a better car, I want him in a Mercedes, so he would definitely be up there. But because of the car, I don't think he'll be any higher than 19th. So in 18th, I've put Romain Grosjean. I think, as everyone will probably guess, I've put him there because he's just such an inconsistent driver. The crashes, like, he's not quick enough. Like, in some races, yeah, he's got a P4, and then he'll be P18 the next week. So he's inconsistent, and I just don't think the Haas car will carry him either. I feel like he's just inconsistent and he doesn't have the right attitude for F1. I just don't feel like he should still be in F1, but that's my own opinion. I just think he's unreliable, and he needs better results for him to be higher up the grid. So that is why I put him in at number 18, because he just does not get them. He doesn't get them results, so he can't progress up the field. That's my opinion. That's what I think. I just think this year, if he puts in good performances and keeps in the points, then he would obviously be higher than 18th. But for now, I've put in number 18. At number 17, I've put Kevin Magnussen. I've put Kevin Magnussen because I just don't think the car will be up to scratch for him. I know he's a much better driver than Grosjean. He does have some consistent results. I just don't think that the Haas car, especially now that last season, all the drama about the sponsorships and everything, I just don't think that his car will allow him to get the points that he needs to be higher. I think I've kind of, this, like, my predictions, they can all go either way. So I've put in number 16, I've put Giovinazzi. I feel like with Giovinazzi and Kevin Magnussen, they could switch around a lot, but I put Giovinazzi in 16 because I think he's an alright driver, but I just don't think he would be higher than 16th. I just don't, after the last season, I just don't think he is as he doesn't have the consistency that he needs to get higher than 16th. I could be proven wrong this season. He could be absolutely amazing. But I just think that he needs to keep getting them results, keep getting them points to be higher. And I also feel like his seat could be under pressure this year because they've just set up a driver's academy. There's obviously the Ferrari racing academy, although if they don't go straight into Ferrari, they might go to the Alfa Romeo because look at Charles Leclerc at Sauber. I just think this year, hopefully he can get the results he needs to confirm that seat for next year or the year after, and get some points, because I would really like to see him do well because I think he is quite a good driver. But yeah, so my 17th is Kevin Magnussen and my 16th Antonio Giovinazzi, and I kind of could have put them either way really. I could have put Kevin Magnussen 16th and Antonio Giovinazzi at 17th, but Kevin Magnussen 17th and Antonio Giovinazzi at 16th. So next at 15th I've put Lance Stroll. So I know the Racing Point is basically a carbon copy of Mercedes this season, but I do not think Lance Stroll is consistent enough to be any higher, given the fact that his car might be quite good this season. Last season he only outqualified his teammate Sergio Perez twice, and one of them was because Sergio Perez had a penalty. And he didn't make it out of Q1 for 14 times last season. I just think that his qualifying performances are not good enough to get him up the field, to get that advantage from the lower field in the first place. And I just don't think that, I feel like he is a good driver, but he just is so inconsistent and doesn't give the performance that is needed to be higher than 15th in the table. I think hopefully that he improves his qualifying. That will then obviously help him improve in the race, especially if the car is that good this year, that he will need these good performances. But who knows, he might have been prepared for this season with this new car and it might work really well for him. But I've put him in at number 15 because I just don't feel like his qualifying performance is up to scratch to help him get better in the Sunday race. So then at number 14 I've put Kimi, and I know 14 is quite low for this legend, but I feel like this might be his last season in F1, so I feel like he won't really care where he comes. I just think he'll, his typical attitude, like, I just do it for fun. And if this is his last season, I just don't think that he'll be trying for the point, well, not trying for the points, just not trying to be up there. I really hope it's not his last season because I just love Kimi and his attitude to everything. He's just such a ledge, but I feel like 14th is where he will be placed in this year. Hopefully he can get higher, but I just feel like he won't be bothered. And that, I just feel like, yeah, 14th is where I'm going to put him. And then for 13th, I've put Esteban Ocon. So I put him in 13th because he's had a year out and he's going back to a Renault. And we all know, like, past seasons Renault haven't been that reliable. They're losing a driver next year. They lost a buyer in Red Bull. They're losing the buyer in McLaren because they're going to have Mercedes engines. So we can just see that Renault is just not consistent and not reliable. And I feel like because Esteban's had a year out of the car, it will take him a while to warm up to being back in this environment, back in this situation. So I think 13th is a good place to put him because I feel that he could do some really good races and get some really good points. But then car failures could be an issue, and just like incompetence because he hasn't been on the racetrack for a while. So 13th is where I've put him. I just don't think he's going to finish as high up the grid as he may want to. So for number 12, I have put Daniil Kvyat. I think that AlphaTauri will allow him to get some pretty good points over the season, and with this literally unpredictable season, everything's up in the air. He might be able to get a shock result like he did last year. I think that he's a pretty good driver. He is quite consistent. I just don't think AlphaTauri will be pushing for the top spots. I just don't think they're that competitive at the moment. I think, like, from my predictions from about 13 to 9, they could all go either way. I just don't think he would be challenging the better drivers of the sport. So that's why I've put them in number 12. And at number 11 I put Sergio Perez. See, with me, I think Perez could be higher, but I don't know, I just put him at 11. I think he's a very good driver, and I put him higher than Daniil because I think he's more consistent than Daniil is. Especially now that the Racing Point is literally Mercedes' car. They'll be able to challenge further up the field. And I've heard that they think that they'll be fighting McLaren for places, which is a bit odd because I've put them so far down in my predictions. But I think just the break and the fact that it might be less races than normal, it might take them a while to warm up and get back in the position that they want to be in. I honestly feel like I can put Sergio 10 or 9, but I'd put him at 11th for now. So with Sergio Perez at number 11, we are now in the top 10, and my top 10, a lot of people might not agree with me, but I thought I'm just going to go for it. If you don't agree, or you do agree with me, you can put a little comment below, and then we can have a little discussion about it. So I think number 10, I've put Pierre Gasly. So I've put Gasly at number 10 because I feel like he has a point to prove this year, where he got dropped by Red Bull so quickly last year. I think he wants to prove that he's a good driver, and I think the dynamic at AlphaTauri is just so much more comfortable for him, and he feels so much more comfortable there, so he can be like, he feels at ease and can perform the best that he obviously can. And you could see last year in his performances when he was back at then Toro Rosso, he was getting good results, good points, and he even got that podium in Brazil. I know that was a weird race, but like, he got a podium and basically just proves that he is a good driver. So yeah, I've put him at number 10. I feel like my spots between 9 and 13 can literally go anyway, but yeah, number 10 for Pierre Gasly. I really, really hope he has a good season this year, because I think he deserves it after all the drama and the controversy of last season. So at number 9, I've put my man, Lando Norris. So I've put him at number 9 because I feel like from last season, he's gained a lot of experience, and from interviews I've seen from him, like of pre-season and over this lockdown, he just seems like he's ready to improve on things that he made mistakes from last year. And I think the McLarens will be trying to gain that 4th spot again, I don't think they're quite ready to challenge Red Bull yet. I don't think they'll be ready to challenge Red Bull until the new regulations come in, but I think they will be definitely trying to get that best of the rest spot. So I think Lando should be in the top 10, so hopefully he gets P9. Hopefully his car isn't as bad as last year with all the DNFs and the issues, so hopefully he gets P9. I think McLaren will make sure that this year they are on form, because they do not want to lose the best of the rest crown. So yeah, so that leads me to number 8, and I've put a gamble here with Danny Rick. I think Danny Rick could be in the top 10 all day long. It's just the car. I just don't trust the Renaults. They have engine failure, they always break, like they don't have pace. Like, I know Daniil is a good racer, and I know he's so good at overtaking, and he could be up there. Like, when he was at Red Bull, he was up there. I just don't think he gets that from the Renault. It doesn't have the pace of the Red Bull, and with his move to McLaren next year, it just shows that he was not happy at Renault. But then again, I also think that he'll want to finish off his last season with Renault on a high, so we'll try and get the points for them. So that's why I've put him at 8th. I just think his experience obviously outshines over Lando's, so that's why I've put him higher than Lando. And then in 7th, so best of the rest, basically, I've put Carlos. So I've put Carlos because obviously he's been signed by Ferrari, showing that they believe in him and that he's a good driver. And after performances last year, although we didn't get to see him on TV, I just think he's such a good driver, he's got the skill, and he's consistent. And I just think he's going to get them points from McLaren. Like I said about Lando, they're going to want to try and keep the 4th spot in the Constructors' Championship. So I just think that he'll try and do his best for McLaren in the last season. I know his dynamic with McLaren is good. Obviously the pairing with Lando and Carlos is great. They push each other, they help each other. I think it's one of the best driver partnerships that we've seen in a long time for that sort of thing, like support. But I just think because it's his last season at McLaren before he goes to Ferrari, he'll want to try and help them as much as he can. And he's got the skills too, so that's why I've put him in at number 7. So we're into the top 6, and my number 6 is a bit controversial. So I know this is low for a 4-time world champion, but I've put Seb at number 6. With his move away from Ferrari, he may want to try and prove himself one last time, but I just do not think that the car is good enough for him this season. At testing, everyone was saying how Ferrari is not up to scratch, not up to the Red Bull and Mercedes standards, so I just do not think that the car will carry him this season, especially if there's a bit of tension in the garage. We know that last year there was a bit of a driver mishap with the 1s and the 2s, and who's number 1 driver, who's number 2 team orders. So I don't know how the season's going to pan out for him, because he's moving away and it seems like Charles is already number 1 driver. I hope he's higher than P6, because he's a great driver, 4 times world champion. Like, he should not be in the 6th place. But I just don't know if that car's going to carry it. So in my number 5 spot, I put Alex Albon. So I put Alex in 5 because when he switched to Red Bull last season, he just proved that he should be driving that car. He has the skill, he has the pace, he has the patience. His race in Brazil just shows that he should be up there with them drivers. It was only when a mistake happened from Lewis that he lost basically a podium. And Red Bull just seems to be improving season by season by season. They're getting quicker and quicker and quicker. And now they've got literally 2 young drivers who are at the top of their game. I know Alex has only been in F1 for 1 season. But the second half of last season showed that he has the experience to be a good driver. And I think he will be up there challenging for points, like against the likes of Charles Leclerc and Sebastian Vettel. And I just think that, although I don't think he will beat Charles in my predictions, he could be up there, and he might even surprise us getting a 4th in the championship over Charles. I just think he's just done really well for himself in the first season, and I'm hoping that that can continue into this season, especially with the 2 races at Austria being first. I think that's a really big bonus for Red Bull. So then in 4th, I've put Charles. So I've kept Charles in 4th just for the fact that I don't think Ferrari have the car this season. If they prove in testing that they have a really good car that's up to scratch with Mercedes and Red Bull, then I might have put him higher. I just don't think that he could get higher. He might prove me wrong and win loads, and with 7 pole positions, I think you can see that he's a good driver. It's just down to the car, I think, this season. Hopefully, when Carlos comes in, they can have healthy competition against each other and he can push for the highest spots. But this season, I've put him in number 4. So in number 3, I put Valtteri Bottas. So this might surprise some people because I like Mercedes. My favourite team is McLaren, but I like Mercedes as well. And because I've put him in 3, people might be thinking, really? But I've put him in 3 because although I know the power of a Mercedes car, I just feel like Max is improving every season. And if Max has a good car under him, he's going to literally fly. So yeah, I put Valtteri in 3 because I just don't know if he's going to be able to keep up with Max. Obviously, last season started it off great. He won in Australia, came 2nd in the championship, helped Mercedes win Constructors' Championship as well. I just don't know if he will keep up with Max this season. So then that obviously leaves Max in my number 2 spot, and I just think Max is just proving everyone that he is just a good driver, and that with a Red Bull car he can do great things. So this season might be the season for Max to really prove himself. Obviously last season was good for him too, but I think this season will be the one where he proper proves that he is a good driver and he is in the title competition with Lewis. So yeah, that leaves my number 1 and who I think is going to be champion. And of course, I've got to back Lewis. I think Lewis is one of the best drivers ever to grace Formula 1. Might be the best driver ever. I know that's controversial, but that's what I think. I just think that he's going to get his 7th, equaling Schumacher. I really want him to. I think his determination, his passion for the sport, his pace, his experience, he's just an all-round great driver. And I know that he'll want that 7th, and I then know he'll want that 8th. So I think Lewis in the Mercedes will be champions. I just think it's inevitable, really. He's just the best driver ever that I've seen, and I just think he's going to win it. So yeah. So they were my championship predictions. I have done constructors predictions as well, and I'll just quickly run through them. So I think Williams in 10, Haas in 9th, Alfa Romeo in 8th. I'm a bit unsure with the Racing Point and the AlphaTauri in 7 and 6. They could swap either way. Then I've put Renault in 5th. But now I'm kind of thinking that they might be 7th or 6th. But for now I've put them 5th because I've put Daniel so high up. Then I put McLaren keeping that spot at number 4 and best of the rest. And I put Ferrari because of how low I put Seb. And then Red Bull and then Mercedes. So we're going to see if Mercedes can make it win again. And then hopefully that means Lewis will win as well. So yeah, that's my predictions for this new season. Give it a like below and a subscribe and a comment. I've put all our social medias in the link below, and I've also put some other content creators that have been really helpful over the past month in the link as well. So thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed. Give it a like and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye.